JF Stretford, Paddock, Manchester United 3, Norwich City 2. Just about getting over the line there against the relegation battlers. Joining me are two absolutely chuffed to bits United fans. Jordan Simpson, you're absolutely buzzing after that feast that you've just been served by the excellent team of Manchester United at Old Trafford, aren't you?
They make me unhealthy. They make me unhealthy. These lot, I swear down.
And also joining me is Abdullah. Abdullah, we'll start with you. Just talk us through that game, because in the first sort of 20 minutes, it looked like, all right, this could be, or first, whatever it was, first half hour, this could be an easy day at the office, despite Norwich having a couple of chances. United get 2 goals, 2-0 cushion, all right, happy days against relegation strugglers. And then we just did that thing that we do all season of making life hard for ourselves.
I think that game sort of summed up, and I said it at the end of the stream, like how we've basically been since the turn of the year and basically since Ralph has taken over. Like, there's always like an intense period where you feel the energy in the team. We're trying to, we win the ball back in, in decent style. I thought Bruno and Jesse Lingard in the first half both did really well to recover the ball in midfield. With the fact that we didn't have a defensive midfielder, we needed that. I thought Jesse Lingard and Ronaldo were our best players in that game. I was baffled. I think we were all baffled by the substitution. I would have kept him on, Jesse Lingard. So that's a shout to him, because I felt, for someone who's not been in a team, not really been getting a chance, even not getting a sniff basically against Atletico Madrid off the bench or in any of those games or last week, to come in and perform like that, and knowing that he's probably most likely gone at the end of the season, fair enough. When you look at some of those other players that know they're going and the way they've performed, i.e., as much as I would have loved it to work out, Paul Pogba, like again, today just showing why it's not really going to work at Man United for him. And, to be fair, in the first half, like Pogba, Bruno, Jesse Lingard, the midfield weren't really an issue. I felt Alex Tellez got caught a couple of times, and then eventually the last one, which was very bad, like he took so deep in that he can't get across to cover for that goal on the back post. But then when you come into the second half, you think, let's not give these guys a chance. We've conceded a poor goal, but we are going to concede chances. Let's make sure we stay on top of them, keep the intensity up, keep pressing them, keep high up the pitch, and we just sort of just let go. And then you concede another poor goal against Tellez getting caught in the backside of that left hand side of the pitch. And I don't know what is this Man United defence going to do against Liverpool. It's going to be an absolute struggle. You cannot defend like that in the Premier League, and especially against the bigger sides. When you can see 2 goals at home to Norwich, that's just so poor. Ronaldo bails us out again. He's done it on a couple of occasions this season, especially in the Champions League. Did it against Tottenham recently with a hat-trick. Now he's got 60 career hat-tricks, which is absolutely insane, to be fair. So, you've got to give him his props, because I thought his performance overall, besides the goal, was good. We've seen a couple of flicks where he tried to set up Bruno up. I think there was one on the edge of the box. Bruno was disappointing in the second half. Very frustrating. Lost the ball in areas, like careless, poor game management. This is where I think you can see how poor some of these players are. But the biggest thing that stands out for me is like the whole game management thing, where players don't know, they want to control the game, but they almost don't know how to. Like, they don't know, which spaces to drop into, the passing sequences. It just feels a bit freestyle-esque, like all over the place. Like, and it's been like that for a while. So, you know what? You'll take those 3 points because of the way the second half went. But if you are serious about making top 4, it feels like Arsenal, United and Tottenham, none of them are serious about it at this rate. You've got to sort your act out. And just before I finish my point, I think, Jordan said something about playing a back 3 or looking into that. And to be honest, I think the way we've been playing, I wouldn't mind, exploring that option.
Especially on Tuesday.
Yeah, especially on Tuesday. I think that Liverpool game, I doubt you can nick anything off it. But if you can, and you've got to try and do something, then I think you've got to maybe shuffle things about, because with no energy of McTominay and Fred in that midfield, in a big game like Liverpool, I think you're going to have to go with a back 3, then have Matic, Pogba, Bruno, whatever in that midfield 3, and then maybe a front 2 of like Sancho, Ronaldo, something like that.
Arman Mafukane in the super chat says, any United fan who can stay sober in this era deserves a medal. Don't know how you do it, Jay. Fair play. Thank you, brother. Jeremy Young, who's been a member of the first team for 10 months, says Tellez' defensive position is shocking. We should have at least pulled up a youth player to try and fill the role better, but Ronnie saves the day even. You can see there some of the stats that are on the screen. Manchester United 3, Norwich 2. That's the most important one, obviously. 20 shots from United, 15 from Norwich. You look at 20 shots from United, you think, right, that's decent. And 15 from Norwich. 15
I
from
don't know
Norwich
how
City.
we allowed 15
That
shots
is
from
poor,
Norwich
that.
City, bro.
From Norwich. And also, 4 on target. I mean, it's not like it was just all one way or that they've had a little bit of a smash and grab in terms of getting those 2 goals. They've had 15 shots. So that's not like it was all Manchester United dominating that game by any stretch of the imagination. United had 9 shots on target. Norwich 4, like I just said. 61.1 possession for United. 38.9 for Norwich. Again, I mean, that's okay, but against a team that are pretty much relegated, it's not that great. 89% pass completion by United, 88% for Norwich. 7 fouls to 6 for Norwich in United's favour. 7 fouls by United, I should say, and 6 by Norwich. No yellow cards during the game. 6 corners for United, 7 corners for Norwich. Again, that's indicative of the fact they were well in the game. 3 offsides for Manchester United, none for Norwich. I mean, those stats, Jordan, tell you that Norwich were well in that game, not just the 2 goals, but they had other chances as well, and it could have gone either way at one point.
I mean, the first chance of the game fell to Timu Puki,
Yeah.
and De Gea did very well to get down quickly. Saying that, we should not have allowed that to happen consistently throughout the game, which it did, especially when they got the first goal, because they scored 3 minutes or 4 minutes into the second half. It gives them confidence because they have something to fight for in terms of retaining their Premier League status. It now looks like, for the first time, I think, this season, we've capitalised on other teams around us dropping points. Because how many times this season have we dropped points? You think Southampton, Burnley, Everton, Leicester, Aston Villa, Newcastle. There's so many different examples where we've lacked something to go and get 3 points in which other teams have dropped points who are around us, Spurs, Arsenal, etc. Today is mental, in the sense that both Spurs and Arsenal dropped points, and we've won a game to help us on. Is it a push? Is it an attempt into getting into the top 4?
You can see that doesn't tell the full story, obviously, because Arsenal, I think, have got a game in hand. I will just let me have a look at that. You can see the table there on the screen. United in 5th. Level on points with Arsenal. Arsenal have a game in hand. We've also got to play Arsenal, don't forget. Spurs have played the same amount of games as us, but they sit 3 points ahead of us. I mean, there's so many twists and turns. There's been so many twists and turns this season so far in this top 4 race. There could be more, couldn't there?
Well, obviously, we've got 7 games left of the season, and I don't think our running is favourable, should we say. We've got the Scousers on Tuesday. We've got Arsenal, and we've got Chelsea last home game of the season. Brentford are still in there, and they've been playing very good football. That shows how sort of far down the pecking order we've come in terms of challenging for a European spot in the competition we want to play in. I mean,
the
Champions League.
The trouble is, you say that, you got Arsenal away, you got the Scousers away. Brentford at home, you might go, that's a given, but so was Watford, so was Wolves, so was Leicester, Southampton. Villa when you were 2-0 up. Do you know what I mean? Or Villa at home, for that matter. We lost that one, didn't we? Everton at home, Everton away.
That's what I was saying. They're all tough games.
Brighton away. Brighton have just beaten Spurs and Arsenal. That's a tough one.
Do you know what sums it up when you look
These
at
aren't
those
easy
games? Like, we've got 1 point from Leicester City.
Yeah.
Which is like you lose 1, win 1 in the season. It happens if you're like a top 4 racing team. We've been there before. But then you've also only got a point off Everton. Look where they are this season.
Got a point off Watford.
2 points from Southampton, 1 point from Watford. You look at these games where you're like, this is why I'm even surprised we're in the position we're in.
Nobody wants it. It's almost like nobody wants to finish in the top 4. The teams are trying to effectively to finish out of the top 4. People want 1, 2, 3, and then everyone will go 5, 6, 7. Because they just don't seem to want that last spot. And it's honestly baffling. If we play like that in any of the games of the rest of the season, we will have 0 points from 7.
Yeah.
I guaranteed any other team turn us over like that. It would just look it in the sense that
Ronaldo scored today looked like Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
At times.
Ronaldo scores hat trick, and then Tim Krul should be saving that free kick.
Yeah, that free kick.
He should be saving
It was
that.
an easy save,
It was
really. Wasn't it? I mean, I'm not
extremely
knocking
lucky.
Ronnie. Obviously, he's got his hat trick, and I never knock him for that. But it was a bit of a gimme, the last one, because he sort of... Yeah,
It was
he
lucky.
got both hands to it, didn't he? But he went in, and that's what counts. And now we're sat here, still, despite so many losses and draws, still in with a fighting chance. John Pablo says, to be honest, if we've got to give Harry a chance every game, we need to get him the best coaching. I prefer not to, but the club is letting him down badly. I think he's talking about Harry Maguire there. People saying, Jimmy Jackson saying... Maguire shouldn't be captain. Do get involved in the comments in the chat, and also hit that like button as well. Alpha Omega says, real inspiring effort from our trust fund kids. Why not put our players families on payroll too? To hell with performance-based salary. Yeah, a lot of people just not impressed. Saji Made says, do you know we bought a right winger last summer? He says, Mike Hansen said, it's kind of sad when we were fighting for fourth. There's also, it seems, right, I've got a few messages so far as well from people at the game saying that fans were kicking off almost with each other. People chanting, you're not fit to wear the shirt. People telling Paul Pogba to F off. People kicking off, people booing. I mean, it sounds like at Old Trafford, people are just getting fed up in a minute. I mean, there's a part of me, I know we're still in the top 400, just Abdullah feels like I just want this season to end.
Yeah, it just feels like that. And I did mention the fact that regardless of what happens at the end of that game, you're going to feel deflated after that 2-2 when they pulled it back. Because it just feels like this is just a disgrace. Like, this is an opportunity for everyone to regain their confidence, for us to go again. Fair enough, you can concede a goal. We understand that. But coming out in the second half to play like that is a joke. And it sums up and it backs everyone's point about this team mentally and how they drop off. And also Ralph's shortcomings, because there is no passing sequences. There is no control in the game. There's clear... And I wouldn't expect... And you know, it's fair enough. You know, Ralph's not really had the time. And it shouldn't be down to him, to be honest. He's been put in a very difficult situation. But you can see the lack of like footballing coaching, like on the ball, because he's more about, you know, regaining the ball and going again. But I feel like this team, since Louis van Gaal, and I know it was very boring. We were speaking about it before off stream. It was difficult and it was boring to watch with Louis van Gaal sometimes. But at least with Louis van Gaal, there was some sort of control of the games. And I feel like we never matched that with a manager of like a new younger manager, like when Pochettino at the time and stuff like that, who's about winning the ball back and you know what I'm saying, like bringing that energy to the team, because you've learned that side of the game as a unit. And that's what a real club does. When they're looking at the next manager, you plan ahead and you do things like this. The last few years, it feels none of the coaches or the managers, like whether it's Oli or Jose's not that really renowned for it either, that are really about controlling a game. And when you're you're supposed to be a top European club, it just doesn't work. And honestly, some of the seasons we even made top 4, I'm surprised because of the lack of like control we have. And that's something that Ten Hag, the biggest reason that I'm excited about the Ten Hag thing is because I know that Ajax have had those moments where you could just see that they're a real football inside, where they dominate the game, where they look to regain the ball. I don't expect us like under Ten Hag to just, set the world alight and just batter teams every week. But I think next year has got to be about building, controlling games and being dominant on the pitch. And then the goals will come, being defensively secure and being good on the ball and making sure that there's some sort of style of play and control that you know what you're going to get. Like Pep with City, man. Like, you just know that the type of goals they're going to score, the sequences that they play. But yeah, that's the biggest take for me from this game, is that there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work for Ten Hag to do next season, man.
No, I agree. There is a lot. Get involved in the chat. Let us know what you think. A lot of people talking about Maguire. He seems to be a bit of a topic of conversation. Some people saying that, he's just not good enough, shouldn't have the armband, all that sort of stuff. Other people saying, why can't he be dropped? I think ask Abbas Play. Glenn F says, it's simple. We're either going to get in the top 4 by Arsenal and Tottenham messing it up as apart from Ronaldo's goals, we seem to be toothless. Raheel Akhtar says we are crap. Toba Shield says at least he won the FA Cup. I think he's talking about Louis van Gaal there. You're making a point about Van Gaal. Richard Brake says this is last place in the Premiership. How can this still not be a disgrace? I think Jordan, where do you sum it up? Because it is 3 points and it's a Ronaldo hat trick if we're going to look at the positives, and we're still in the top 4. But there is that feeling of, again, it's another performance against a poor side where we're making hard work of it. Where do you sort of stand on this? Do you just sort of think, okay, the result's all that matters, or we should be sort of
well,
looking at this and going,
the result
it's just not
helps,
acceptable.
doesn't it? The result helps considering everyone else around us who were vying for the same spot lost today. The fundamental problems are that there looks like there's no plan, there's no structure, there's no sort of right. Plan A's not worked. What are we doing for Plan B? We saw Anthony Elanga playing right back.
Yeah.
You've got a £50 million fullback who I'm not saying should be starting, but if you've got a choice between a 19-year-old winger who's in his breakout season, done very well attacking, over a fullback when you're trying to defend a game and you continue with Elanga. Don't get me wrong, he was okay there, but he filled a position. I'm in firm belief now that Ralph Rangnick doesn't really understand what he's doing in terms of actually like building a structure for what we've got for 7 games left of the season. God knows what's going to happen against Liverpool. Yeah. Because we saw in these previous games, Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes has been a front two
like
in a 4-4-2.
Like, I don't get that. It's especially when you haven't got the Fred or McTominay in that game, innit? Like, I don't know how that's going to work. It's honestly baffling.
I genuinely think sometimes we would have a better outlook in terms of picking a team to deal with Liverpool and sort of trying to counter them, especially come Tuesday, because they beat Manchester City 3-0.
3-1, I think.
3-1 in the FA Cup today. They'll probably look after the game, watch our highlights and go, we're going to have these for dinner. We're going to absolutely spank them. We'll turn them over without even trying. And they will be up for it because they know that we're there for the kill. Forget the fact that we've just beat Norwich by 3 goals to 2 today. Cristiano Ronaldo scored a lucky hat-trick because it's dependent on the keeper fumbling that. And that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
Norwich got back into the game within 10 minutes, either side of the half. And you can't tell me that Manchester United are going to be in a position now where Tuesday comes around that there is any confidence going into that game, because there is no structure, there is no second plan if Plan A goes tits up. I do not see us getting anything on Tuesday. I can't even see us getting a result against Arsenal. Yeah. I honestly can't.
I said that a few weeks ago. I think we'll struggle. I mean, you obviously you want us to, and you think we'll still.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to be too negative, but it's just like from what I'm seeing in the evidence on the pitch, I'm not seeing anything that gives me hope. You know, other than Ronaldo, who was, obviously was outstanding again today, getting his hat trick. There's just not many sort of positive aspects of this Manchester United team at the minute. Ahmad Abadisalshit says, I agree with the decision not to renew for Lingard because this team needs new blood, but I think he deserves to play in this team, plays simple football, is a team player and runs like he cares. I thought Lingard, as you were saying earlier, Abdul, was decent until he got took off. Abhishek says, if you've got nothing to fight for, just play the game for fun. Isn't that why we all got into the bandwagon in the first place? Is that too much to ask? I've also had a statement from Manchester United on today's protest. If you don't know what the protest was, it was basically people marched from the toll gate at 2 o'clock down to the ground, and then they waited till 17 minutes past 3 to go into the stadium, into the ground, as a sort of 1 minute for every year that the Glazers have been in charge, as a sort of protest for that, just to highlight how unhappy we all are with the Glazers' ownership. And the spokesman on today's protest says, we are working hard to create the conditions for renewed success on the pitch while strengthening our engagement with fans. We respect the right of fans to voice their opinions peacefully, and we will continue to listen to them with the aim of working together to get the club back to where we all want it to be, competing for trophies. I think those, we've heard those sort of statements before, haven't we? Well, the proof will be in the pudding and all that sort of stuff. I mean, they always say these
it's
statements.
The same bollocks, isn't it?
They said it after the Super League protest or the Liverpool protest. We're going to have this dialogue. We've been doing this for 17 years, basically, haven't we? And I think people just had enough. We saw the protest on Friday at Carrington. We saw the protest just before the summer, didn't we? The Liverpool game at Carrington again. So, there's a big sort of movement going on with the fans where they're not happy, and I can understand why. I don't think statements like that mean anything whatsoever. We'll have to see some actions. PR3 NDO says, we need Champions League to get Adidas kit deal money, 75 mil per season, add wages of outgoing players, 75 approx, handing Eric Ten Hag 150 million. It's going to take a few transfer windows, whatever it is, for him to sort this out. Sajid Madej says, Ralph proves us and exposing that those players are frauds. I'm going to wrap it up there. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel if you're not doing already. Abdullah, where can people find you?
AbdulGH_ on Twitter.
Make sure you're following Abdullah. He's going to be on the channel a lot more. Jordan, where can we find you?
JD Simpson 98 on Twitter.
JD Simpson 98 on Twitter. Listen, United have won, right? It's 3-2. Don't be too negative. Yeah? It's 3-2 Manchester United. Ronaldo got a hat-trick. We're still in the hunt for top 4. Listen, this day could have ended up a lot worse. If Arsenal and Spurs had both won, which they should have done, then it'll probably be all over. But we're still in with a hunt. We've still got a chance. We're going to be back next week as well. It's a bit different. We've been doing things a little bit differently when it comes to our match day content, because you might notice we've not been doing fan cams at the ground as much as recently as we used to. We rarely do them away and at home sometimes. Home games, it's a bit different. So we're just looking at changing things up a little bit. So we'll have Macola, Steve, myself and Joe will be back for the Paddock podcast to tell you a little bit more about that on Monday as well. So make sure you're checking that out. If you're not doing, subscribe to the channel. We'll be hearing after this. We'll be hearing from Andy Tate. We'll be hearing from Stephen Howson. We'll be hearing from Adam McCullough. So make sure you are staying on this channel to check out all the post-match reaction as well. Because, listen, wasn't a great performance, but it was a decent result. And that's all that matters at the minute, innit? Come on, that's where we're at. Thanks for watching.